All right. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Next Gen Lodging, which is hosted on Hotel News Now, powered by CoStar. All right, so let's get going. My name is Davon Reeves. I am one of the co-hosts of Next Gen Lodging. The other co-host is Omari Head and Christopher Henry. But today I am joined by a special guest, one of my friends in the industry, Tommy Beyer, and we're going to be talking about our experiences in from being a part of the American Hotel Lodging Association Under 30 Gateway. So Tommy, please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are.
Hey, Davon, good to catch up with you as always. So I'm Tommy Beyer. I've been in the hospitality industry for almost 20 years now. I currently work for a private REIT. I'm a partner in a private REIT, so I handle asset management acquisitions for that REIT. And I also have my own asset management consulting firm. And Davon and I do some coaching. So my background is went to school at University of South Carolina for hotel management. I came up through the operational side of the business. I was a GM at, I don't know, 22. Davon and I were on the AHLA under 30 Gateway Council for a while, but we're over 30 now, which is sad, but also exciting in some ways. So I just worked for a management company for about 16 years. I was a VP of operations, VP of business development. I was in charge of feasibility and financial analysis. Needless to say, been in the industry for a while, have had a bunch of different roles, but I love it. It's all I know, and I'm excited to be here today with you.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you again for being a part of this dimension. So we met through the American Hotel Lodging Association, American Hotel Lodging Association Under 30 Gateway, which is the organization when we were under 30. I actually just went to Omari's 40th birthday party, so we are no longer under 30. And actually, Omari and I met through Under 30 Gateway. Chris, actually, all three of us, me, Omari, and Chris, we all met through Under 30 Gateway. Tommy, I met you through Under 30 Gateway, and I met other folks such as Sean and Jason Alea, all these different people, Ashley Johnson, all these different people who I still have these relationships. And I was able to connect with so many people. You know, we had our annual meeting during the fall conference, during the fall HX conference, and now we're here, and it's just so beautiful how we were able to maintain those relationships professionally, personally, and we were able business deals came about from that just through an organization where it was designed to get young folks together. So, how has Under 30 Gateway or being involved with professional organizations when you were in college or after college, how did that help you along your journey, Tommy?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, it's kind of one of those things at the time you're super excited to be part of anything like that. I don't know. I guess I was probably in my early 20s when I got to be a part of it. So we were just building your network. At that point, the network sort of your network consisted of, maybe the one or two hotels you'd worked at or people you went to school with or that kind of thing. So it was a really good way specifically the AHLA Under 30 Gateway was a really good way to connect with folks that were from different parts of the country, different parts of the industry. I'd add it was, maybe I'm a little biased here, but it felt like it was something like the cream of the crop, right? Some of your, more um, up and coming stars in the industry, people who had, had a lot to contribute. And I think the HLA did a nice job with it because they let us kind of run it. I mean, and they let us have like a real voice in what was going on. So I'd say it allowed me to build my network. Like you said, that's where we connected. That's where I connected with Omari, connected with Mark Williams, yeah, Ashley Johnson, and it's been really exciting to see, how people's careers have grown and evolved over the years. I'd say mostly it's building that network, but you don't really know where that's going to take you. I mean, like, like you and I do some coaching and things like that now. We've partnered on deals together. We've helped each other out one way or another. So, you tap into that network, and then you grow your network through other people's, which has been, which is really cool. So, yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. I think I remember, they had me they had me speaking on a panel at NYU, and I had no business being on that panel. I mean, I was up there with sort of like titans of the industry at the time. But again, AHLA afforded you the opportunity, which was really cool. But I mean, I go back. I shouldn't have been on that panel. But I feel like I held my own. But it was exciting.
Tommy, I know you did well. Stop. You're being so humble. You're amazing. You know more about hotels than I do. But yeah, folks like, connecting with Sean and um Barrera, he's with Remington. So all of these probably should have a part two. Probably should bring these folks on so they can just share where they are and just how being a part of Under 30 Gateway has helped them. And I was the leader of my Georgia. They had different chapters at too, because we were on the because you were the chair, right? Were you the first chair?
No, Mark was the chair. I don't think I was a chair. I don't remember what
You
my
were the
role.
chair? I thought you was the chair. Okay, Mark was the chair. When I got there, okay, that's right. Mark was the chair. And Um, and I think Ashley was the chair. I was the chair at one point. Uh, Omari, I believe, was the chair at one point. Scott Copeland, who's a rock star in the industry, he's the director of hospitality at Wind Creek Hospitality. So just how just being a part of these groups and just staying connected and seeing how lives evolve. And actually, to be quite honest, a lot of people don't know about this, but I really learned about hotel ownership through Under 30 Gateway because we would have you'll have your state chapters, which I was a part of the Georgia chapter, but then during the annual conference, as being on the board, which you had to apply to be on the board, um you had to attend two meetings out of the year. It was either the fall conference or the summit in DC, LAS, the Legislative Action Summit. And so by going, and a lot of people chose New York. I chose New York. I did let it, and then also getting involved with Under 30 Gay will help me understand the importance of getting involved politically, right? And so I learned about hotel ownership during that fall conference because we were all meet and everybody would introduce themselves, and we're all from different parts of the country and different facets, in our lives, just doing phenomenally well at under 30. And like you said, you think you're a rock star until you meet other folks and they're talking about how they develop in hotels. And you're like, wait, what? And that was really my true introduction. So if I wouldn't have been a part of an organization like that to connect me with people that was outside of my space of being in operations, because it was folks in corporate and we had a lot of different programming to help folks along the way who wanted to get in operations, to get in corporate like yourself. Because you were general manager, under the age of 30. And then you got into corporate by the time you were 30, right? I think before you were 30, you got into corporate.
Yeah, I was in corporate when I was 20, 25, 26, something like that. Maybe 26. Um, yeah, and stayed there for another 10 years, and then decided to go out on my own. But yeah, and I think, if you go back to kind of the idea of being on a board, right? I mean, that was certainly new to us, and but again, everybody was in the same boat, which was exciting, right? Because you're not, when you have so much success at an early age, you're always kind of dealing with the whole idea of this person's 20 years older than me. This one can be my grandfather or mother, whatever it is. But you didn't have that in that room. You had like-minded people. all on the same, career path and career trajectory. So it was exciting because you got a chance to kind of grow up and experience things, but also have, what I feel like was a meaningful impact on, whatever the topics were that we discussed. And, you kind of got to run this, um, council and grow the group and come up with ideas on like how do we get more younger people involved in the industry. And I think that was important, as important, then as it is today, right? So,
Oh,
I don't
yeah, absolutely. I was thinking as you were talking too, the support of our companies, right? Because by our hotels or our companies being a part of the American Hotel Lodging Association, it allowed for us to help with our professional development. So I'm thankful for, the I was at the time, I was at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta. They were a member of the American Hotel Lodging Association and the Georgia Hotel Lodging Association, that they allowed me to participate and really believed in my professional development. And so I'm saying this, to say, even for the folks who are listening, and they're probably like, well, what does this have to do with me? I'm not even under 30, right? Or but you may have and I don't think the organization is still around. Hopefully they're going to revitalize it because I think it was just a beautiful organization. I wish it would be pushed to under 40. But
know.
so that way I can still be a part of it a little bit. But for the group to for your for because I've realized, and I was a better employee, and I'm sure you were a better employee when your company poured into you and invested in you and really helped with your professional development. So, it's kind of hard to go, and you were talking about this a little bit, Tommy. It's kind of hard to go to a networking event and everybody is a senior executive, right? And you don't really have anything to talk about. You're in an entry level position, maybe a mid level position or management training position. So it's really not too much you can talk about with a CEO if the CEO of a major company would even talk to you, right? But that under 30 gateway gave us an opportunity to talk with like-minded individuals. And now we are, you know, 10 years later, we're leaders in the industry and then the next wave of executives in the industry. So, it helps. I think it's beautiful how we're growing up in the industry one day. I'm sure one of our friends who's in the under 30 gateway is going to be the CEO of a major hotel brand one day. I can't wait. And so just that relationship building, me with my hotels and you a part of the read and you're the asset manager of our hotels and we work on all those different things. And Amari, with his hotel brokerage and Chris with his international consulting firm, and Sean, and even Mark, reaching out on hotel projects and pitching our potential hotel projects. Even while you were with the management company, if we had different opportunities, we remembered each other, and we also remembered each other work ethic as well, right? Like, you know what, I remember working with them on the board. This is what they're doing now. I would love to send some business and help you out. So, working, don't be afraid of if you have any employees who, who are hardworking and you're trying to figure out how to retain them. Because a lot of times I think companies forget about that retention. Like, and I've been talking about this since I was an under 30 gateway. We really need to figure out a way to get more folks working in the hotel industry, not only even working in the hotel industry, but staying in the industry, right? It's a 24-hour business. It gets burnt out. I think times are better, Tommy, when you and I were working in this space. We had to work until our boss leaves, right? Even if nothing was going on. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. You're taking me back. That's for
right,
sure.
exactly. We're just like looking at each other. Like we don't even have any guests to look at because nobody's here. But we just had to be here because the boss was there. And so I think with the work-life balance and I think they're doing different pushes and different initiatives to get folks in the industry. Think about that professional development aspect of it, right? Talk about the longevity of, or the career trajectory of starting off as a front desk agent and becoming a hotel owner or becoming a general manager. Like I was in McDonald's the other day and I love their oatmeal with no cream. That's my go-to in the morning. But anyway, um they had like a trajectory of how you can work your way up to become a McDonald's franchisee. I have yet to see that, in the hotel space, right? What can we do? There's a management training program, which a lot of under 30 gateway members were a part of, but is there a program to get folks, from a entry level position to different areas, maybe in the ownership or transactional side, but just different ways to keep folks involved in the hotel industries. I think it's a beautiful industry. So that way we can retain it, right? Just, it's fun. I think it's one of the best industries in the world. A big advocate for it. I always tell folks, have you ever thought about working in the hospitality industry? Because there's so many different positions, you know, um, as opposed to just working in, the front office or food and beverage. But that's my 2 cents when it comes to not only professional development organizations, but, as a way to, engage and keep your employees engaged and want to, work hard for you because you believe in their development. And I know that helped me a lot when I felt that the Hyatt was believing in me and my professional development. What are your thoughts on that, Tommy?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the company I was working for in the past, they sent me to Cornell for their professional development program. So I did that for a few different summers and got a chance to network with a lot of different folks there. And I'm super grateful that they sent me there. And I got my certificate in financial management for hotels. But I think that is really important. And I think you know, and also if you're out there listening and you don't have maybe you are an employee, you're saying like, hey, that sounds interesting. I would say don't be afraid, especially this time of year as people are right in the middle of or budget season, asking your company, it's like, hey, do you guys have a budget for professional development? I'd like to, even if it's as simple as getting your CHS, which is your certified hospitality supervisor, or CHA, or whatever. Those aren't that expensive and could be done online. So maybe your company will allow you to do that. Or and you can network locally, regionally, or nationally too. And for students too, students can get into different conferences. Either it's free or it's super discounted. So I think, I would definitely do that. I mean, imagine if, we had a sort of a time machine and we go back now and to, when we're at the under 30 gateway meeting and we're saying like, okay, hey, look, 15 years from now, you guys are going to own hotels, you're going to be asset managers, you're going to be working together on deals. I mean, we were excited to do it then, but to
Mhm.
know, like, if you could know that and look into the future, we would have been, I mean,
Mhm.
imagine how you would be like, there's no way that's not going to
Mhm.
happen. Like, I don't
Right.
believe that.
Right.
But the point is, you just don't know, like, the connections you're making today, how that's going to, work out for you in the future, help you in the future in your career.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because it's all relationship based, right? I, think of you and you think of me and we think of different folks, who we came up together just from being a part of that organization. I mean, it's amazing. When Sean comes to Atlanta or if I visit, I think he's in Dallas, so it's even outside of that professional, same thing with you and Omari and Chris. If Chris is if I'm in LA or if he's in LA at the same time because he travels a lot, we'll at least try to connect, right? Or if I know someone who's looking for, some consulting work, then I'll send them over your way, So just that relationship based and keeping it going and so I'm very grateful for that organization, and I hope they bring it back, and or if not that in particular, but something similar. I think it'll be really good for our industry. I think it'll be really good for our young folks who are coming up, especially if they just graduated from college and they're just eager to learn and eager to connect. And I think that'll help because sometimes, dealing and this, anybody who's dealt in worked in the front lines when it comes to the hospitality industry, it is very hard. Sometimes it could be very unappreciative. And, sometimes when you work with other folks Like even my good friend John Shelhays, he wasn't on the board, but he was a part of the Georgia chapter, right? So just connecting with a lot of folks in corporate from IHG from that space and Leon Chen, all these different people that I just got a chance to really build a strong relationship and rapport with, and we're still connected, in some form of fashion. It's just good to see each other on social media and families and how we just grown is just a beautiful thing. And we are truly the next generation when it comes to hospitality. Now we just need to reach out and help the generation that's after us, so that way we continue to make the hospitality industry a better industry, so we can get really good talent. And so that way we won't have disruptors that have come in, at a time when we're not, where we're at our weakness, right? Because we don't have the proper talent to see it through. But no, this was a great conversation, Tommy.
I
Um,
enjoyed it. It's always good to connect with you.
yeah, so and remember it was someone was telling me not too long ago how they were I think they turned, our parties used to be in November, the annual parties, the under 30 gateway party.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think she like just turned like 30 and they would not let her in. I was like, oh yeah, they were strict. Like you had to be under 30 in order in order to go to the parties, because those parties were everything. And the after parties, because we had the meeting and then we had the after party, and it was the after party, right? So all good time, good clean fun. But we will go to the restaurants at the Empire State Building, and that's really how I got a chance to see New York. Um, by being a part of Under 30 Gateway and going to the parties, because somebody' job was to pick the different restaurants. So that's how we would pick the different restaurants. Um, so anyway, we got stories for days. I think it was Tommy, I think you were gone this year. It was one year we went to some steakhouse restaurant and the bill was like $2,000.
Yeah, I was not there for that. No.
Oh my gosh, trying to split that bill was hilarious.
Like counting
And then
pennies.
right, and then certain people couldn't expense it, and oh my gosh, it was funny. But anyway, I got stories for days, and I'm sure you do. But no, thank you, Tommy, so much for joining us. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening to our Next Gen and Lodging podcast episodes powered by Hotel News Now, which is on CoStar. So we really appreciate that relationship. So Tommy, how can folks find you?
Yeah, well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Also, I have my own website. It's B Hospitality Advisors. It's just bhospitalityadvisors.com. Sorry. And you could email me at tbeyer, as Beyer, at bhospitalityadvisors.com. So,
I
yeah,
love
look
it.
me up. Happy to help you.
I love it. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you next month um for our next gen lodging episode. And next, it will be 2025. So this year has flown, like it literally, we woke up and it's now 2025. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Hi, I'm Isaac Colazo, Vice President of Analytics at STR.
Hi, and I'm Jan Freitag, National Director for Hospitality Analytics for the CoStar Group. Tune in to our new show, Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast.
It's a podcast on the global hotel industry, its current trends, what we're thinking about, and where the industry's going.
And we like to have fun with the data too. Find us on hotelnewsnow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today.
This episode of Next Gen and Lodging was recorded in November of 2024 and edited by Rachel Dopp. Look for this and more podcasts at hotelnewsnow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.